The diagnosis of insulin resistance signifies a shift in your body's rules, leading to effortless fat gain, and strategies that may have worked during your youth are no longer effective. Fortunately, the new guidelines don't require extreme discipline or rigorous exercise routines. To reverse insulin resistance, adhere to these 3 principles. First, prioritize tracking insulin rather than calories. While it's true your body doesn't count calories, that doesn't mean you're free from accountability. Instead of fixating on calories consumed versus burned, focus on the amount of insulin your body is generating. For your body to store fat, it requires elevated insulin levels during food consumption. Insulin instructs your body to allocate that energy into liver, muscle, or fat cells. If you consume a significant amount of food without a substantial rise in insulin levels, we refer to that condition as type 1 diabetes. Individuals with type 1 diabetes may suffer from a disorder called diabulimia, where they intentionally adjust their insulin dosage, often under-delivering it. This practice makes it almost impossible to store energy as fat. Although it may seem appealing to eat anything without gaining weight, this disorder can be fatal. Their bodies are essentially starving from the inside, unable to metabolize glucose, and reliant solely on fat. Once their fat reserves are depleted, they can succumb to ketoacidosis, an extreme form of malnourishment. For those using insulin, this information may not be relevant. However, for most, it highlights that insulin isn't inherently harmful. We're producing excessive amounts, leading to fat cell expansion. Unfortunately, insulin levels can fluctuate greatly, causing you to return to the lab multiple times before understanding what's happening. We will discuss estimating insulin levels shortly. But first, I want to equip you with the knowledge of factors that trigger insulin spikes and fat storage. The type of food you eat is crucial. Carbohydrates induce the most significant insulin surge, while proteins generate a smaller spike, and fats produce the least. This means we should prioritize consuming fats. Ignore calorie counts. A high-fat intake tends to accelerate your metabolism. Consuming fat results in minimal insulin release, and in a low-insulin environment, it significantly enhances metabolism. You need insulin to convert energy into fat. Without it, you can utilize fat as energy, boosting your metabolism on a high-fat diet. Years of consistently high insulin levels can take a long time to reverse, so stay committed to high-fat consumption. I have conducted experiments where adding a quarter cup of MCT medium-chain triglycerides to my diet increased my intake by 500 calories, but I lost weight due to enhanced metabolism and reduced insulin levels. Therefore, consume fats and keep carbohydrates below 20 grams daily. Secondly, avoid eating after dark. The timing of your fat-based meals significantly affects your insulin production. Remember, even fat generates a slight insulin response, and so does protein consumption, along with the morning increase in cortisol. This cortisol surge signals your liver to produce glucose, which leads to an increase in insulin. If you are insulin resistant, schedule your meals earlier in the day, ideally close to sunrise. Eating after sunset can negatively impact those with insulin resistance. The longer the gap between your last meal and bedtime, the more favorable your insulin levels will be the following day. Thirdly, we must measure if we wish to make changes. For these guidelines to be effective, we need to track and analyze the metrics for improvement. Measuring insulin can be complicated and volatile. The most effective way to estimate insulin levels is to measure glucose and ketones. By measuring both simultaneously, we can infer your insulin levels. This is known as the doctor BOS ratio, derived from the glucose ketone index, DKIY. The Dr. BOS ratio is calculated by dividing glucose by ketones. A lower ratio indicates lower insulin levels. The benefit of this method is that it also reflects the effect of insulin over time. While it's not possible to assess insulin levels with a single test, tracking glucose and ketones over time provides valuable insights. The optimal time to measure this is first thing in the morning, when your data is less influenced by external factors. Upon waking, assess both points of information to monitor how your insulin is functioning after a night's rest. Please subscribe, Share with family and friends, like if you found this useful, and comment with your thoughts. Together, let's build a happier, healthier world.